Namaste everyone, welcome back to LiveStronger. I hope your shoulders are completely recovered. My shoulders feel great. We did do the static stretches after our shoulder workout, and it was kind of not very intense. It was keeping in our focus that we are just starting and it's just our 7th day. It was right there wherein we hit the right notes, at least I hope so, and you were able to do all the exercises which I did. Today we are going to work on our arms. You might have a question that why did we flip our schedule a little bit. The reason is because I don't still feel 100% on my legs, and what happens usually is when you are still a little bit sore and you continue to work out or continue to push during the exercises, it might not have so much effect on the growth of the muscle or the productivity of the muscle, but it might compromise your form or you might hit failure sooner than you anticipated. That is one of the reasons why I chose, like, my hamstrings are still tired, my calves just under my knee are absolutely brutally sore with all the calf work which we are putting them through, and I feel a lot of tightness on my quads. So I did do my foam rolling. Hopefully I'll be completely recovered by tomorrow. I'm sleeping well, I'm eating well, so that should help. So that's the reason today we are going to work on our arms. Again, we are going to do both tricep and bicep together so that we're able to, these are two small muscles which happen to recover quickly and have exercises which doesn't need much of a setup and can be executed in a quick manner. I do believe they need to be given enough attention if they are lacking, but otherwise one day for arms is a good amount of work even for someone who is coming new or starting off after a long break. On that note, let's start with our dynamic stretches and then we'll move on to our warm-up exercises for our sets. So let's go. So for our dynamic stretch, we are doing the greatest stretch, 4 reps each side. So that's where I start feeling my hamstrings really tight. If that's the case with you too, wherein you have delayed onset of muscle soreness, it's absolutely fine. It's common that you feel this soreness after 2 days, even in some cases after 3 days. You just need to make sure you get your stretches in place. You can refer to all the stretches which I have shown in my static stretches video for your lower body, and perform foam rolling 20 seconds at a time, not too much. So that should help in quick recovery. If any of you do have a massage gun, feel free to use it. Massage gun basically does the same thing which the foam roller does, but in a very precise and in a faster manner, because it's massaging at a higher speed and it's absolutely precise in terms of where you can know that this is where I'm tight, so I'm going to put pressure exactly there. So you can use that too. And if with foam roller you're unable to reach tighter spots, you can always use the tennis ball or a cricket ball, whichever you're comfortable with. If you don't have a softer ball, you can always take a towel and put it on the ball and then put pressure on your body. Like if, for example, your hamstrings, you can put a ball, a towel, and then put your hamstrings on them. So that will ease some tension. I'll just do a little bit of deep squat stretch to open my hips, push my legs out, try to get straight. I feel no restriction in my calves or in my quads. They're not locked up. That feels great. So now we go into our warm-up exercises. For our first warm-up exercise, we are going to do the same barbell curls which we have done last time for our biceps. Again, if the barbell, even if it's a shorter barbell, feels heavy and tires you out quickly, you can definitely use a couple of dumbbells. Now to start, it's very simple. We start with partial range of motion, then we shift to full range of motion, and then again we go back to partial range of motion. So for the first partial range of motion, just move a little bit sideways so we can see how much is the partial range of motion. I go completely up, and this is my starting point. From here I go down, that's it. The reason why I place my elbows forward is because my biceps are connected to my shoulders. So when I raise my shoulders, I feel my biceps are more activated and they contract better. So if I have to show you from the front, I try to get at least 20 to 25 reps, get a lot of blood flowing in there, do them slowly. I forgot to count, but the moment I start feeling the heavy contraction and the muscle burn, I will shift to the full range of motion. Start feeling the warmth in my biceps. Just about there. And now I'm going to go for the full range of motion. Full range of motion, you let the bar touch your legs. If it's dumbbells, they come just beside your thighs, and then you go full contraction. Here, you can raise your elbows up a little bit, bring them forward a little bit to get more contraction. You might feel your front delt getting activated, that's because you're moving your shoulder, but that's quite minimal. Your biceps will take over. I start feeling the burn. So if you have to see from the front, I go for complete contraction. This side, just squeeze it all I got. And I feel a lot tired. Now I move on to the drag curls. I do this all of them immediately. I don't give any break. This may be a couple of seconds to let the blood flow back. This exercise could very well be a really great finisher, because in the end you take an empty bar, push almost close to 75 to 100 repetitions. That would be a great finisher. But I like to do this as a warm up, because this gets a lot of blood accumulated into my bicep muscle and really activates my elbow joint. What does this do? This helps me make sure that when I'm doing any kind of bicep exercises, my biceps are more activated than my forearms. So my forearms can't jump in before my biceps. So that's the first warm up for our biceps. Now we are going to warm up our tricep muscles. So let's go. For our triceps, I'm going to do seated tricep extensions as a warm up, because this is the movement I'm going to use for my main exercise too. So it's simple, you just take your arms completely down and push the dumbbell up. Take a weight which you can control. If you're new to this movement, I recommend using a light weight, so you first learn how to move. That's it. Get a lot of movement. And that's it. All warmed up for the second exercise. I'm going to do incline dumbbell curls. Here I have set up an incline bench. You see, now the angle of the incline varies with different benches. So I have set up just about 45 degrees. So that's the second increment of incline for me. Grabbed a couple of dumbbells. I'm going to do both hands at a time. Completely stretched out, head down and curl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's the first set. Going to take a short break. Going for the second set. On my own path of transformation. So once the document is completely ready is when.
So you want to bulk up or shred?
I actually have none of those aims. I just want to get stronger extremely. So I don't have any. So
My fitness trainer just says one thing: being healthy and fit is more important than having a good-looking body.
yeah, that's true. Good looking body is a bonus.
That's always what it is.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going for the third set, and it's a third set. I have increased the weight. I'm going to try to get to almost near failure. The easiest cue here is not to move your elbows high or not to bring your shoulders forward. Make sure your bicep is always at a stretch. I'm doing a voice over for this video, and the consecutive videos is because multiple people were training, so it was a little bit disturbing. So it's simple. You just have to curl, keeping your arms stretched out. And I'm just about to hit failure, and that's it. We take a break. For the fourth set, what I have done is I've basically taken few dumbbells and kept them around me because I am going to do a drop set. Drop set is simply basically starting with the highest weight which you can do the exercise with, and then once you get tired you drop to one increment of weight downwards. So I started with 15 kilos. I was able to get 4 to 5 repetitions. Then immediately I grabbed the 12 kilo dumbbells. Since it was not very busy at the gym, so I could keep the dumbbells with me. If that isn't the case with you, don't worry. 5 to 10 seconds in between doesn't really spoil the fun of drop set. But as you can see, I'm trying to get as many reps as possible in one with one particular weight, and then only move to the next lower weight. The weight you start with should always be the highest weight you're able to curl in this exercise. As you near failure, you could feel other muscles jumping in to help you to do the curl, but try to keep your form strict and try to keep your arms stretched out. If you see in the last rep, I had to move my arms a little bit up to get the dumbbell to curl. This is a tough, challenging bit, but it's also quite rewarding if you are able to achieve it because it gets a lot of hypertrophy going on. And I would also want you to push through, even if it's 2 weights or 3 weights you're going to drop, do it and feel the fun. And that's it, we are done. We take a break and we move on to our next exercise. For our next exercise, we are going to do tricep overhead extensions with the dumbbell, the one which we have done in the warm up. This time I have taken a challenging weight instead of a very nominal weight. It is simple. We have to. So here, what I'm doing is, these are called something called Arnold's 21s, and the reason I like them is because you do 7 into 3. So if you see, I do 7 repetitions halfway, wherein I go from the lowest point to midway point, and I finish 7 repetitions. Then I go to the highest point and come midway, 7 repetitions. And once I'm done with that, I do full range of motion, 7 repetitions. This is quite a challenging exercise for your triceps, because by the time you reach the third set of sevens, your triceps are extremely tired and they're extremely tensed. And this always gives me a great amount of pump in my triceps. I would like you to try this very much. So, one set done, we take a break. So for second set, I have increased the weight because the first weight was feeling okay and I was able to execute the reps easily. Not easily, but at least I could go through them quickly. Again, remember the first 7, you let the dumbbell go completely down, stretch, feel the stretch in your triceps, and just push it up halfway. Just your elbows just come parallel, just above your head. After 7 reps, you take the dumbbell completely high and then you bring it halfway down. Let the elbows just come parallel to the floor. That's it. And once you're done with your 7 repetitions halfway, you go for your full range of motion, wherein you let the dumbbell completely go down and then you push it up completely. And this is where your triceps get the most amount of work done. This exercise is great. It gives you a lot of muscle pump. And I'm done. Take a break for our third set. For our third set, I have changed the angle of the camera so that you can see from the front how my elbows are placed and how high I am going. As you can see, I try to keep my elbows as close to my body as possible, as fairly facing front as possible. If you let your elbows open up completely, that would put unnecessary stress on your shoulders. So try to keep your elbows together. As you go through the reps, uh, the elbows might open up a little bit to get comfortable. That's absolutely fine. Take a weight which you're able to execute the exercise with a proper form. Going heavy and then losing out on the form is not advisable. As you can see, I'm trying to get the last few in full range of motion, and that would really tire me out. Yes, absolute failure is really good thing in this exercise. Now we take a break after that set. So for the last set, again we are going to do drop set. So this time it is not Arnold's 21s. This time it is straight reps, wherein I go through the full range of motion for up to 10 to 12 repetitions, and then once I'm tired, I switch the weight. When you're doing full range of motion, try to feel the stretch when you go down, and when you're pushing up, make sure it's your triceps which are working really hard to push it up. Now, as you can see, I switched the weight as soon as possible. I just kept a couple of dumbbells just beside me to make sure that my break in between the drop set is minimum. The number of repetitions in a drop set is not fixed, because it depends from individual to individual and the weight increments you're going to drop it. If you're going to drop 2 to 3 weights, you might be able to get more repetitions. If you're going to drop 3 to 4 weights, the repetitions drastically decrease as you go lower, because your muscle gets extremely tired. And I'm done with my drop set, and that's it. So we'll take a break and go back to our next exercise. For our next exercise, I am using the bench again to kind of do a variation of a preacher curl. As you can see, I have taken the bench to almost the highest level of incline and then placed one of my arm, tricep, completely resting on the bench, and I start to curl. This is a variation of a preacher curl, but what I like to do here is instead of standing uh, together or in parallel to my arm, I like to open my chest up a little bit to create a stretch and make sure the focus is all on my bicep. So, as you can see right now, I have opened my chest. Now, as I switch to the next arm, I think you'll be able to see it more clearly because the way I stand, I don't stand just beside my arm, I stand a little bit behind it by letting it open up to create further more stretch and work my biceps better. Take a weight which you can control. The speed of the exercise is normal, you don't have to slow down or anything. Do it at a normal speed which you can. Make sure the curls are complete through the range of motion. Partial reps are not necessary here. And that's good amount of work I got done. And I take a break before we go for the second set. Let's go for our second set. This time I move the camera a little bit in front so maybe you can see the way I position myself a little bit better. See how I'm not facing the camera, my chest is not facing the camera, it's kind of facing towards the wall beside me. My arm is facing the camera, and this way I have opened up my chest and I'm able to curl. There's nothing wrong in keeping your chest beside, it's just that I feel when we open the chest up there is more amount of bicep activation because there's a stretch which has been created. Your shoulders are open. If you have a preacher curl machine or a preacher curl setup, you can definitely do this on a preacher curl setup. But I would like you to try this on this inclined bench kind of a setup. If that is not available, you can also do this on the preacher curl setup with a dumbbell. You don't have to sit down, just bend down a little bit, place one arm, turn your chest away, and do this. This really helps the peak of the bicep come out. Again, gets a lot of blood flowing into the muscle. It's not very tiring. It's more about strength focused. And last few reps, try to get the best out of me. And almost there. 12 reps was my focus, so that's it. I take a break and go back for my third set. For my third set, again I switch the camera a little bit so you can see. The reason why I'm emphasizing so much on the way I'm standing is because I feel this works a lot better than conventional positioning while doing a preacher curl. Opening yourself up gives a lot more bicep work. So I would really like you guys to try this out and feel the bicep concentration happening, the curl. You can see while I was doing the curl how my shoulder delts were also firing up. That's okay because our shoulder is positioned a little bit in front, and since our biceps are connected to our shoulders, those muscles also fire up, but they're not doing the hard work here. It's all on our uh, basically on our biceps. Get the last few reps. By now my bicep was full of blood, so to get my hand straight was tough. And almost there, last few reps, and that's it. We take a break. For the next exercise, I'm going to try doing single hand tricep push downs with using a rope attachment to the lat pull down machine I have. This is something I'm experimenting for the first set. If you have a cable machine, this exercise can be done more efficiently with standing position done more right. but I'm trying to experiment here. Let's see how well it comes out. I started feeling a good amount of contraction on my triceps, but uh, my movement range of motion was a bit limited here. And then I switched my arm. I was really getting a great pump doing the bicep and the tricep together. I realized this angle was not great, so let me just switch the camera angle for you guys. There you go. So continue with the other arm. You don't need to take breaks in between when you're doing one arm at a time. As you can see, I was trying to figure out the angle, making sure my shoulders are not shrugged and my hand goes to full extension as much as possible as my triceps do the hard work. It was kind of working, but I was not really happy with the contractions which I was getting from the triceps. If you have a cable machine, you have it done. If you have done it earlier, please go ahead and do it that way. Otherwise, we are going to switch back to the normal rope push downs. Now, f- as you as I mentioned, that did not go quite well, so I immediately switched back to the normal rope push downs where I get good contraction on my triceps, as you can see, and then I go for my repetitions. If you remember, the cue was simple: get the rope completely down and then slowly let it come parallel, let your elbows come parallel, and then from there you push it. You don't have to come all the way up. Make sure you don't use your shoulders or shrug your shoulders or your chest to do this exercise. I was almost near failure here. Few more reps and that's it. We take a break and we come back to our third set. For third set, I just move the camera a little bit behind so that you can see me better in terms of my wrist motion once it goes down all the way. As you can see in the video clearly how my tricep is contracting through the range of motion. As I go down and create that extra bit of squeeze, my triceps get more contracted and almost near failure. My triceps by now are completely full of blood and were tired, and that's it. We take a break and we move on to our next exercise. For our next exercise, we are going to do our staple dead hangs. This time I have my stopwatch with me, and as you can see, my hands were completely full of blood. They were heavy, so I was trying my level best to hang as long as possible. I was really happy with today's workout, the way it turned out. We did not do supersets, but instead we got to do the drop sets, which I think worked quite well. I encourage you to try doing the drop sets with at least three uh, sets, three increments of weight drop. I think that will give you a lot of blood flow into the muscle and experience near failure or absolute failure. Good for muscle growth, and also we kept the exercises short, so it really helped us get a lot of efficient repetitions and sets out of it. I was really surprised with my progress in terms of my grip strength after my arm day, because I almost finished 1 minute of dead hang, and I was really happy because we progressed from almost 15-20 seconds to 1 minute, and that's good progression. And now we move on to our static stretches. For our static stretches, we are first going to stretch our bicep. This is a very easy stretch. You have to do nothing. It could be a Smith machine like I'm using, or just a wall or a bench. You just place your arm at shoulder length and you just turn away from your arm. The reason why is because your bicep is attached at your shoulders and it is attached at your elbows. If you keep your arm straight and uh, you know fixed at one point and then slowly move your shoulder away, what is basically happening is your bicep is getting stretched as one point is fixed and the other point is moving away. So as you can see, I keep my elbow straight because my elbow, I can't move it much. I can't stretch it out because my elbow is locked. So my bicep is locked. So I keep my elbow straight, then move my shoulder or myself wide out. I open myself. This creates the stretch. Once you try it, you'll feel it better. Make sure the height is just about the shoulder height to get the maximum stretch, because if it's low, then you're leaving a little bit of play. If it's too high, again, the stretch wouldn't be so effective. We hold the stretch for 15 to 20 seconds to make sure our bicep gets back to its neutral length. And that's it. That's for bicep stretching. I feel a good stretch. Now for triceps, we move on to one of the stretches which I've shown in my static stretches. So you basically place your hands on a bench in a knee down position and slowly come to the edge while your elbows are still on the bench, and you let your yourself drop a little bit down. So what has happened here is our triceps attach at our elbows and our at our lats. So our elbows are right now fixed, and we have let our lats stretch, and we are putting a little bit of exaggeration in the stretch by pushing our lats a little bit lower, so the tricep is getting pulled. We hold it for a few seconds and we are done. That's it. That's it for today's workout. So we are done with our arms day. I hope you were able to complete all the sets which I was doing, and you were able to. And I'm really hopeful. I mean, I wasn't doing anything extreme. It was just simple. The first set we did just isolated sets for both biceps and triceps, with the last set being a drop set, and then we finished off with a basic bicep tricep individual sets. That said, my hands are really pumped. We did the dead hang for our forearms, and I feel good. I mean, I felt like the workout was productive, and I hope that's the same thing for you. So, on that note, thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.